I took a bike ride through Brooklyn Heights and Cobble Hill this weekend, and it was such a great experience that I wanted to film some of it and then narrate some of this for you. So here's a bike ride along Henry Street, beginning in Brooklyn Heights and ending through Cobble Hill, as you'll see. Part of what makes this stretch of Brooklyn so lovely and so welcoming are its tree lined streets. You'll find in Brooklyn Heights and Cobble Hill and a lot of brownstone Brooklyn these really lush and verdant streets that are sort of an oasis from the meanness and harshness of the city. And here we see a couple of closed streets that also added to the feeling of humaneness and places that are built around people. But these tree-lined streets really attract you in. They provide a canopy on hot and sunny days like today, and they are also just lovely in their many different varieties and textures, and they make walking, or in this case biking, a really pleasurable experience. The real beauty of these neighborhoods, though, of course, are the townhomes and the walk up apartment buildings that are among New York's best, and really the best anywhere that you'll find in America. There is a simplicity to these structures, but also a real elegance in that some of them might have walk up staircases, as we see on the right here. Some of them will be more richly ordained, some of them may be a little bit more simple, but you tend not to get really highly ornate detailing on these townhomes. You might get bits of color here and there. And then here we see this corner deli looking down onto another tree lined street. But when they come into composition with one each other, very fine grained next to these major retail corridors, in this case Atlantic Avenue, you have this really delicate interplay between quiet, quaint residential streets, but you're still no more than a few steps away from some excellent restaurants, maybe a hardware store, a coffee shop, cafes, maybe a slice joint as well. And so you get the best of both worlds. This really wonderful urbanity at a relatively high density, but because the townhomes and the walk-ups are not too imposing, and there may be larger buildings interspersed here and there is a really lovely scale to these neighborhoods that remains eminently bikeable, eminently walkable, and as is the case with Cobble Hill, very attractive for families because it remains a relatively safe neighborhood in terms of walking around and getting around. It's fairly easy, except for when cars sometimes pull out in front of you, to bring your kids to some of the ample park space that exists in the neighborhood, like here, just off of Veranda Place. This park, Cobble Hill Park, is one of my favorite pockets in all of Brooklyn and really all of New York City because it's so unexpected when you're driving down or biking down or walking down Henry Street. You have these really narrow roads here, far narrower than you normally get in New York City, more common somewhere like Philadelphia. And you have this really lush green space that feels enclosed and protected by all of these townhomes and walk ups, and has a relatively high density. So you always have people coming through the park, making it feel safe for you to leave your kids there, maybe not unattended, but to have them roam around freely with other kids and other folks in the neighborhood. And you're never more than a couple block walk away. And this is really the key to creating great neighborhoods. It's to have an interplay of uses and open spaces at a sufficiently high density so that a lot of people can enjoy them and they can be well maintained. I had a detour from the bike ride quickly just to show one of my favorite places in all of New York, Warren Mews, originally developed by Alfred Treadway White. It is simply exceptional. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this little bike tour through Brooklyn Heights and Cobble Hill, and looking forward to show you more of New York and other places I visit.